Okay, so today we're going to go over Unit 3, Day 3 notes, which is just reviewing a couple things that we've learned so far. So, number one, it says the equation D equals m over v is used to find the density of an object using the mass and the volume of an object. What is the same equation solved for b? So, they're asking me to solve for the letter v. So, before we can do anything, I have to get rid of b being at the bottom of a fraction. So, the opposite of dividing by v is to multiply by v. So these two v's go away, and I'm left with v times d equals m. Now I can move the d over away from the v, so v can be by itself, because remember, we're still solving for v. So the opposite of multiplying by d is to divide by d. So that goes away, and I'm left with v equals m over d. And with that being said, my answer is C. Number two, they're giving me the volume of a cone, and they're asking me to solve for the letter R. So the first thing I need to do is get rid of the dividing by 3. So the opposite of dividing by 3 is to multiply by 3. So 3 times v is 3v equals pi r squared times the height. Now, if you notice, I'm multiplying pi with the r and I'm multiplying h with the r. So to be able to move pi and h away from the r, the opposite of multiplying is to divide. So I'm just going to do this in one easy step. Instead of dividing by pi and then doing a second step and then dividing by h, I'm just going to do this together in one step because they're both being multiplied, so I can divide by both at the same time. So the pi is gone, the h is gone, and I basically do the same thing on the other side, dividing by pi h. So I'm left with 3v divided by pi h equals r squared. Now the opposite of square, you should know, is the square root. So I'm going to take the square roots of both sides. Now when I take the square root of a square, they go away, and I'm left with r equals that entire thing, the square root of 3v divided by pi h. And with that being said, my answer is A. Okay. Moving on. Number 3. They're telling me that that's the equation and they want me to solve for n. So the first thing I need to do is multiply by 9 because I want to get rid of that fraction. And of course I do that to both sides. So 9 times c is 9c equals 5n plus 40. And remember, you're solving for n, so you want to move whatever, you want to start out with the number that doesn't have the n. So of course that will be the plus 40, so that becomes minus 40. So 9c minus 40 equals 5n. And then I want to divide by 5 because I want the n to be by itself. So I'm left with n equals, and of course I'm going to break this into two fractions. So 9 over 5, c, and then negative 40 divided by 5 is negative 8. And so my result is 9/5 c minus 8, which is A. Now, moving on to the next problem, they're telling me that it's F equals gm squared over r squared, and they want me to solve for g. So first thing I need to do is get rid of the fractions. So the opposite of dividing by r squared is to multiply by r squared. So I'm left with r squared f, or you can just say f r squared. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter the order that you set it up. So you can say r squared f or f r squared equals g m squared. And the opposite of multiplying by m squared is to divide by m squared. And the reason I'm dividing the m squared is because I need g to be by itself. So I'm left with g equals that entire fraction. And as you can tell, that will be answer choice B. Okay? And remember that the purpose of these problems is to solve for the variable they're asking you to solve. So that means that variable has to be by itself. So when you're moving things, you first start moving the things that do not have that specific letter you're solving for. And once you move that by doing the opposite operation, then you move the things that are connected to that variable, so that variable could be left alone. Okay. Now the next thing we're gonna go. The next problem says, how are x and y related to the equation? 7 times x minus y equals 0. Now, let me go ahead and tell you that anytime that I have one set of parentheses, I usually just try to divide by the number in front of the parentheses to get rid of them. But if I have two sets of parentheses, the easiest thing to do is just distribute to get rid of both parentheses. But here I only have one parentheses. So the easiest thing to do is divide by 7 to both sides. So I'm left with x minus y equals 0. Because 0 divided by 7 is 0. And then I'm going to jailbreak the y over to the other side so that becomes a plus y. So x equals y. So that means my answer is B. Now you could distribute if you want to, and I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like. So 7 times x minus y equals 0. So if you really wanted to, you could distribute. It doesn't change the answer. 7 times x is 7x. 7 times negative y is negative 7y equals 0. Now all you have to do is jailbreak one of them. So I'll just jailbreak the y. So 7x equals 7y. Because remember, when you jailbreak, it becomes a plus 7y. So that means all I have to do is divide by 7 because we want the x to be by itself. So I'm left with x equals y because both 7s cancel each other out. So x equals y is the same result. It doesn't matter. But as you can see, distributing makes it a little bit more complicated versus just dividing by that 7. Okay. Now the next set of problems, all they're asking us to define is whether something's a function or not. And remember, a function is if all the x's are different, okay? Or if it passes the vertical line test. So let's look at number 6. And which table is not a function? So they're saying which table does not have different x's? Which table has the same x's, basically? So if you notice here, we have all different x's, so that's not in. Here we have all different x's. It's not B. C, the ones repeat, so my answer is C. This is not a function, okay? Not a function. The other ones are, so they're asking me for the one that's not. This one's not. Okay, number 7, they're asking me which one is not. So let's look for the one that has repeating x's. So this one's good. Negative 6, negative 5, negative 5, negative 6. So your answer is B because the x's repeat. Okay, let's move on to the next page. It should be the last problem. And they're asking me which one is not a function. So which one does not pass the vertical line test? Which one touches the vertical line twice? As you can tell, no matter where I put a vertical line on this graph, it always touches once. So that's not it. Same thing here. No matter where I put a vertical line, it always touches once. That's not it. If you look at C, I can put a vertical line in multiple places and it will touch 2 places at once. So this is the answer. This is not a function. Okay? And of course, answer choice D is a function because it's a line. It's a linear function. So if you have any further questions about today's lesson, please do not hesitate to ask me in class tomorrow.